This is Rob Tebbutt for ID Boxing, and I'm delighted to be joined by the one and only Grant Smith. We're here the morning after the night before in sunny Sheffield, following Dalton Smith's impressive six-round stoppage win to claim the British super lightweight title. Now that's all out of the way, Grant. Lovely to see you. I know you've been desperate to do this interview for a while, so thanks very much.
No, you're welcome, Rob. Thank you for dragging me back to hotel, seeing as I weren't here this morning and copped hold of me as soon as I come to see Dalton this morning. Grant, seeing as you've got a bit of time, can I do an interview? I said, you know what, I'm tired, Rob, and you've caught me off guard, so let's do it.
It is unicorn rare to get you on camera, so I do appreciate your time, particularly after such a brilliant night last night at Sheffield Arena. Let's just start there with Dalton Smith, your son, your charge, claiming the British super lightweight title. First and foremost, what did you make of his performance? Happy overall?
Very happy with his performance. I thought he was quite clinical, to tell you the truth. We've been working on certain things in gym, and a lot of it unfolded last night. Just slowing him down so he can punch the target a bit better. And it were all working last night, keeping his opponent busy without really doing too much, but still looking busy, and making his opponent mentally working all the time without even having to throw a punch, rather than having to stay busy all the time with his hands and feet. And I thought it worked quite well.
I think it worked quite well indeed. Just expand on that a little bit. I was speaking to Dalton, of course, Junaid Bostan, another one of your fighters who boxed last night, about, you know, if you were looking at the first round last night with kind of a, you're not somebody who watches an awful lot of boxing, you'd think not a lot's going on in there, but there is a lot going in there. Just explain those little shifts and those little adjustments that you've made for Dalton early on in his career, or early on in the fight.
For this fight, I knew he's a good fighter, Sam, and he can punch as well. Known Sam. And I knew we were going to sit back. Well, I guessed he was going to sit back and try to walk Dalton onto something, try to draw Dalton onto something. And then I thought, after a couple of rounds, as soon as he starts getting Dalton to step in, he'll start stepping in himself and trying to meet Dalton. I thought that were the tactics that he tried to draw off Dalton. So I thought, let's try to keep him mentally busy and get him mentally bored, so he were having to like reset himself and keep him busy by doing nothing. Obviously you're doing something and you're keeping him busy with your movement and your actions, and just keep Sam mentally switched on, and that'll mentally tire him and break him as well. And then when the mistake's there, just throw ones and twos, not too much. Little reset and wait for it again and just keep drawing it. And like we said, the first 3 or 4 rounds are going to be quite close, but just the little bits of Dalton each round, and then it starts pulling away as the fight goes on. And I said to Dalton, you're winning the fight. I think you were wanting to go and do a little bit more, but when he watches it back, he'll see, yeah, it all went to plan and perfect. And I says, each round, just keep doing what you're doing. Then each round just kept getting bigger, and he weren't even really doing that much.
I spoke to Dalton just now. He's shooting off on his holiday. I think he's quite desperate to get away. I mentioned the third round, a heavy knockdown of the first knockdown. Tried him after that as he got up, wasn't quite ready to go. Was that something that, were you shouting from the corner just to take it easy, or was it something that Dalton kind of worked out on the fly himself?
The third round, when I saw Sam go down, I thought, he like spun with his back to me and went down, so I couldn't really see his face. But how he went down, I thought, oh, he's not going to get up. But if he gets up, he's going to be on wobbly legs here. So obviously, I looked at Dalton in corner. I said, calm down. As I come back, I saw Sam get up, and I saw him, and I thought, we can jump on him here, but no. So I just shouted to Dalton, not yet. Calm down, and just keep doing what you're doing, and get back to what you were doing. We've got 12 rounds to do it.
How difficult is that to do in the moment, and how pleased are you that he listened and he didn't run in there and leave his feet behind and kind of have a trade up? How difficult is it to do that, and how pleasing is it for you as a trainer to see him not do it?
Very pleased, but most of my fighters are very similar. They'll always look for me in a situation like that. They'll look for me to see what I'm wanting, and 9 times out of 10 they listen to me. So yeah, it's good that he listened to me, because obviously you can show more class and you're not going to walk onto anything stupid yourself.
And also headlining at Sheffield. I've just mentioned him there. The band playing. It reminded me of those great nights years ago with your Ricky Hattons and people like that. And again, another valuable box ticks in a sense of a lot of pressure. I know Dalton said he didn't feel the pressure, but he's headlining. He's fighting for the British title. And again, another valuable box ticked in his progression.
Yeah, box ticked. It was his homecoming last night as well. First time in Sheffield. And I was overwhelmed by the support he got from Sheffield, the football, the boxing fans, the general public. And I didn't think his first fight, his homecoming, would have sold like that. And I went in and it were electric. And I'd just like to thank all the fans, everybody who was there, who paid their hard-earned money to come out and support my son. It was a proud moment for me because they'd all come, the majority of them had come to watch my son, which is a proud moment. And I know Dalton was proud himself. And I'd just like to thank everybody for that, yeah. And I was well chuffed with that.
And having him we've got some lovely footage of him bringing the British title backstage, giving it to your dad, and being a real family affair. Must fill you with, as you just mentioned there, an enormous sense of pride and achievement that your son's gone out and achieved that.
I was speaking to somebody last night after, and I says, how many dads in Sheffield, as a boxing coach as well, have come and enjoyed these nights with their son? How many can say that they've done this in Sheffield like this? How many dads? And I felt honoured and proud that it was my son that had done that for his dad and his granddad and his grandmother and the rest of the family. And the family are proud. We're all proud of him anyway. Not just the gym's proud of him, the family's proud of him. Sheffield, he's done everybody proud.
You're quite, I think you'll forgive me for saying it, you're quite a no-nonsense Yorkshireman. My mum's side of the family are all from Yorkshire. That you remind me of some of my relatives. But it's nice to hear you talk like, because we don't always hear you kind of speak like that. You are, how do I put this, something of a taskmaster in the gym, I think it's fair to say. But great to hear you talking like that so openly. Do you allow yourself to kind of feel that on the night, or is it something that you have to try and kind of put to one side and focus on the task at hand?
No, I feel that, obviously. And I do show it. Not too often, but I do show it. But I am a big softie at heart. But when it comes to the business of boxing, or any type of business or work or whatever, I think everything should be 110%. And if I'm giving 110%, I think everybody else who's working with me should do the same. And I'm not money orientated. It's not about the money, it's about the success for me. And like I've always said to Dalton, the boxers that chase the money early don't normally get it. Go for the achievements. The achievements should be the goal. And the goals are the belts, which become belts. Then belts will fetch you money. Take pride in the belts. Chase the belts, not the money. And the financial rewards will come.
In recent times in particular, we've seen a lot of kind of scrutiny for fathers in the corner. Gabe Flores Sr. being one of them. Gabe Flores Jr.'s had a couple of really hard fights where I think it's arguable that his dad could have pulled him out of the fight, decided to leave him in there. We've seen it with Teofimo Lopez Sr. come under some criticism for his performance in the George Kambosos fight. Is it different for you? It must be somewhat different for you having your son in there as opposed to, with respect, some of the other guys in the gym. Or do you just have to keep it as trainer, fighter for while you're there?
I try to keep it as professional. Obviously, I'm going to have the father emotions, but I don't know. I've always seemed to have this button and tunnel vision where it's work, and it is my son in there. Obviously, I know it's my son in there, but it's like it's a weird thing. It's like it's my boxer when he's in there, and we've got to do what we've got to do to win. So the advice is always the advice for Dalton will always be the same for anybody else. And if Dalton's in a situation with one other fighters, or it's always going to be the same answers for any fighter. Dalton's not going to be different. He's not going to get, I don't know, different instructions in different situations. They'd all get this. I just speak my mind in there. And I've always been like that.
You know how boxing is? As soon as the final bell rings, people are talking about the next one. Who's next? I'm not going to ask you to throw out any names. I know that's not necessarily your style. But is the plan to win the British outright? Are you looking? Is that something kind of the next on the list achievement-wise, or is it something that you would kind of look to potentially move past British level into that European/fringe international level if the right fights were there?
We try to keep Dalton out of that. Dalton just does his work in the gym and then goes to work on fight night and fights fight night. He don't call anybody out. And Dalton, from a young age, I've matched him hard from a young age. So he will fight anybody. I've always drilled that into his mentality. He turns up, he fights. It's work. And we've always said it. It's not a fight, it's work. So he turns up, he goes to work. So Dalton will turn up and fight, work, anybody. He don't question anything. That's up to me and Sean and Eddie. And we are in talks. Me and Sean are talking about his next fight. I don't know whether Sean's just give it a little quick mention to Dalton this morning. Nothing's confirmed. We are working on something. But yeah, it's whatever comes. We will defend the British. If another title comes available or we can move on and we think it's a better move for Dalton, we will move Dalton on. If not, we'll stay at British. Whatever. So whatever fight works out and whatever's good for Dalton, we'll do that. We're not going a certain way.
How much more has he still got to develop in the ring? I mean, I'm sure you've seen.
Sorry?
How much more does he still have to do in the ring, developing, or in the gym and to develop into the ring? Obviously, you've seen the best of him in the gym. How much more have we still got to see of Dalton on fight night?
There's a lot of situations what we've got to see Dalton. And we haven't seen the best of him in the gym. Because I believe we're always learning. All my fighters, every fighter's always learning. Every fighter's always getting better. Till they hit the peak at about 30, 31. So I don't think we have seen the best of Dalton. There is a lot more to see, but there's always stuff to work on. So we're always working in the gym. We're always working on different. I'm always trying to little percentages make my fighters better in little percentages.
One name that's been kind of tossed about by Florian Marku last night, of course, another one of your stable. Is Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia seems to only want to fight people from Yorkshire now. He's calling out Maxi Hughes, and now the name that's been tossed about is Ryan Garcia. Is that a fight that we could see down the line? Is that a fight that appeals to you as a trainer, pitting your wits against a talent like Ryan Garcia?
Yeah. If the timing were right, and that's the fights you look forward to, the top fights in the world. I think Dalton's got the potential to go on and get better and become a world champion. It is a tough weight division, one of the toughest weight divisions in the world. But I think he's got the skills, the ability, and we just keep chipping away. But yeah, them type of fights, without a doubt, we'd want into the future. Yeah, definitely.
Final one on Dalton. He mentioned there the sparring with Jack Catterall, of course, somebody who, in many people's eyes, is kind of the uncrowned champion of the 140-pound division after that fight he had with Josh Taylor earlier this year. He mentioned about learning how to control the pace from Jack and kind of taking that away from the sparring. How valuable are those rounds for Dalton? Of course, for development, but also as kind of a barometer for where he stands in the 140-pound division.
We always try to get him good sparring for the fights, what he's got coming up. So as soon as this one, he'd sparred Jack in the past anyway. I've got a good relationship with Jamie Moore, Jack's coach. We go over a bit. And that development learns you so much. I think too many fighters want to learn everything straight away, whereas I try to chip away a little bit, get that right, chip away a little bit, get that right. I used to do the same with amateurs. You train the little kids to become schoolboys, and in the second year of the schoolboys, I'd start doing the transition to turn them into good juniors, and then the second year as a junior to become a youth boxer. I never used to train them the same. I used to make these little adjustments to get good, adjust, get good, adjust, till everything were right. And I think that's why we had the success with the amateurs. And I've just took that into the pros. It's a totally different ball game. And I just learn, do that, and these little adjustments. So working with Jack, what we've been working on with Dalton, part of fetching to Dalton's game, it works working the things like that with Jack as well. But yeah, Max Hughes, we've had good sparring with Max Hughes. We've had a lot of good sparring for this. We put a lot into place, and it's come on leaps and bounds with the little adjustments we needed to make for this fight.
How quickly would you like to see Dalton back in the ring?
Back end of the year, I think he needs a rest. What's that? Well, that is 4th this year. I should be telling you that, but
3rd, I think.
Well, that is 3rd. Yeah, so he's had a busy, because even the pandemic, we were quite busy through that. So he's building his house, doing all that now. So while he's away, that'll be on dad and granddad duties. We'll be sorting that out for him, keeping us busy.
Hey, he's British champion now. He doesn't have to get his hands dirty.
So I don't know. Back end of year. Get one more in this year, but give him a good rest. Mentally as well.
Okay, just want to fly through your other charges who boxed last night, starting with Junaid Bostan, who split his role between fighter and cheerleader last night, of course, for Dalton. When I spoke to him after the fight, I mean, he's his own harshest critic, of course. He wasn't massively pleased with his own performance. How did you feel he boxed last night?
From a general public, somebody who were watching, I thought he boxed brilliant. If I were watching, I thought, yeah, this kid's mustard. He were good. Like you say, that lad lost on a majority decision to Brian Rose last year in 2021. A lot were saying, "You're taking this for Junaid's second fight?" I says, "Yeah, we'll take this." 6-rounder. I like to have them, let them have a 4-rounder, my lads, and if I think they're good enough, straight into 6-rounders. So we took that for Junaid, and I thought Junaid performed brilliant. There were a little thing in end at 2nd, 3rd, what nobody had seen, but I know him inside out, and I had a little whisper in his ear, and we had a little chat after, and he agreed with me, yeah, I'll put that right. But other than that, I thought he boxed really well. What did you think to his performance?
I thought he boxed well. I said to him, it's his second fight. He's boxed a 6-rounder against, again, as you mentioned there, somebody who's competed at a good level against somebody who had himself, Brian Rose, competed at a very good level as well. If he had things that he needs to work on, that's why you're doing it when you're 2-0. I thought he boxed well. I
thought exactly the same. He was a bit disheartened after the fight, and I said, "Why are you disheartened? You boxed really well there."
That's. I suppose overall that's a good trait to have in a fighter, somebody who's never really pleased, always looking for more. But is it something that you also have to kind of manage a little bit yourself as a trainer to you don't want fighters getting down on themselves for a performance?
I don't mind them being like that because I reassure them. But I think they might get a bit of that from me because they can do everything good in a fight, even because he's come through amateurs with me, Junaid, obviously, from a young lad. They can do everything brilliant, and all my fighters, everybody does it. And I'll always pull that little bit out to put right. I'm not bothered about what you've done good, I'm always bothered about that. And I think that must be inbred in my fighters because they always pick these little bits out, what they're not happy with. And that just shows me they've got what I've got in here. They're striving to be the best. They're striving to be as good as they can be and as good as they can get, which that's what I believe they should do, and that's why I work with them.
And Junaid, of course, is somebody who's he's been around the Sheffield circuits for a while. I know he's he sparred David Avanesian, Kell Brook. He's been in the gym with Dalton Smith, now British champion, Charlie Edwards, former world champion, Sonny Edwards, current world champion. Great little place for him to develop among these experienced pros who can show him a thing or two.
Yeah, a lot think Junaid's older than he is. Obviously, he's a young boy, well, a young man. Sorry, and he is maturing now. As long as he keeps his feet on ground, stays level-headed, listens to the lads in the gym and the likes of us, it will go a long way, Junaid. His career is in his own hands.
And final one on last night's show, of course, Nico Leivars, who I thought boxed very well for a round and a half, but unfortunately the fight was brought to a premature close due to a clash of heads. Understandably, he was disappointed, now has that technical draw on his record. Not an ideal end to what I thought was shaping up to be a good little performance from Nico.
That was the only thing last night that knocked the top off me. Spoiled the whole night. He didn't spoil the night was brilliant, but it was that little thing last night what I couldn't top the night off with it. because, like I say, all the good stuff, you always remember them little bits. And Nico is such a hard-working lad. He's a true professional in everything he does, not just in the gym, out of the gym. He lives the life. And what we've been working on, everything, chipping away week after week after week, just chipping away like I spoke about earlier, doing these little improvements. It were all working last night. And like you said, that kid had 50-50 record, 6 fights, 3 wins by knockout. So I said, "You get me this kid." I said, "Yeah, we don't pick and choose our opponents. If I think my lads are good enough, they're good enough." Nico went out, started brilliant, and I thought, he's going to get a stoppage here tonight. He's going to get a stoppage. And then, as the fight happened, the lad were there and he got his back to me. And I saw Nico throw a left, and I saw the kid going down, and I just saw Nico's right come over the top. And I thought, oh, he's done him. He's put him down. And then I heard Howard say, head clash, and I couldn't see it. So I thought, I didn't see an head clash, because it were on the blind side of me. So I shouted, head clash. And obviously the lad would cut. And I personally thought the kid, because as soon as they wiped it clean, it stopped. And I heard him saying to the doctor, oh, no. And I thought, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. Nico were getting better as the fight was going. I thought he's going to get a stoppage here. I'm going to top. I've had 2 by that time. Dalton later, but I've had 2 and 2 good performances. Exactly what we've been working on in gym, both for them, and they've both got the stoppage. Perfect so far tonight. And then as soon as I said that, I thought, draw. So Nico come back over. I could hear the crowd in the background going mad. Nico sent a smile, and I thought, I'm going to have to tell him before. I'm not going to let the referee and that announce it, and then he'll go poof. And I said, it's a draw. He says, what? I said, it's a draw. I says, he's just said, I would have said accidental clash of heads. I says, it's a draw. You want, you joking? I says, no, it's a draw. I'm just letting you know so you don't look disheartened. And he went, all right, thank you. And he took it like a man. The lad was devastated. But he went back in the changing rooms. He weren't sulking about it. He were upset. But he didn't, you could see it, but he didn't show it. He didn't complain. Because he didn't want to bring the gym down. When Dalton come in, he didn't want to fetch that level. And I was so proud of him for that. A young lad like that, but mentally so mature. So we've told him to have a rest. I just spoke to his manager, Lee, and Nico said, I want to get straight back out. I wanted him to have a rest. He said, I don't feel like I've boxed. Justified everything what we've been working on in camp in that 1.5 rounds. So we're going to have a chat with Lee this week and we might get him out again in a couple of weeks, next month or something like that. See what he says. But heartbroken for the kid. And then that would have topped a night off. We'd have had 3 boxers on an home show and we'd have had 3 brilliant performances with 3 stoppages. And that's happened. I had a word with Howard, apologised to Howard, the referee, after. I said I didn't see an head clash. I went back, looked at it, and Manny must have told my hand up. I said, Howard, it were on blind side of me. That's why you're a referee. Right call.
I think it's well said, and while obviously not an ideal situation, it's not a lot, and it's something that hopefully will we'll put a little bit of fire in his belly moving forwards, and hopefully an experience that he can take into the rest of his career.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully, touch wood, that never happens again to him. But he's learned from it. But as long as he takes that, he knows last night what we've been working on. We're working in that fight. And he mentioned it after. He says, this happened, that happened. So he's seen the improvements himself. And he's come on leaps and bounds. These last couple of fights, he's come on leaps. Even his dad commented, Julian. Because his dad trains him a bit as well. And his dad says, when he's in wheels now, he says, I can't believe how much he's come on, Grant. He says, in every fight he's getting better.
Okay, well, before I let you go, wouldn't be right not to talk about the IBF flyweight champion of the world. If I don't talk about him, I'm sure he won't talk. So let's do the talking for him. Sonny Edwards, we're still waiting on an official announcement for the long-mooted fight with Julio Cesar-Martinez, WBC and IBF unification. First of all, where are we with that, to your knowledge?
I don't know what I can say to tell you the truth about that. In terms of being agreed, everything's been agreed, nothing's been signed. We've got a date, but like I said, the contracts aren't been signed, so it's not guaranteed. We're just back in camp now and getting him ready for it. Excuse me. We're here in Mexico and another place, but we just got to wait and see where it is. We'll take it from there, but Sonny's back in camp and he's on it now.
And very much preparing for Julio Cesar Martinez specifically for that fight.
Yes. Yes.
Sonny doesn't strike me as the type of person, and you certainly don't strike me as the type of trainer who really minds, you know, give us a date, give us where it is, we'll turn up and we'll box. Is that a fair comment, do you think?
Yeah. We're prize fighters at the end of the day. My boys are prize fighters. I think most of the coaches that know me and know me well know I don't pick and choose the fights. We get fighters sent to us and we agree it. Yeah, terms are right, we'll fight. We're not bothered win, lose or draw. We're prize fighters. If you're good enough, cream always rises to the top. If you lose at top, you stay there. I'm very confident in Sonny beating Martinez. Obviously, I've had him before with Charlie. And I'm very confident that Sonny goes out and does a job here. And then, I think he's already the highest paid flyweight in the world. You have to excuse me, it's all this tickly cough for weeks. And his stock just keeps growing and growing and growing. He beats Martinez, it'll go again, go again, go again. And the world's his oyster then. And like I said before, he's winning titles and the titles are producing the money for him.
You mentioned there having had experience with Charlie Edwards, of course, that, again, a no contest, a very strange end to the fight those years ago at the O2 Arena. How difficult of a fight is this for Sonny? And what do you feel that Sonny, obviously without giving the game away, what do you feel that Sonny will be able to do compared to what Charlie was able to do when, I mean, again, the fight was a no contest, but was taking some shots, was dropped legitimately before the knockdown on the floor? Styles
make fights. The tactics will be totally different because of the styles. So I'm not going to give too much away, but we've already started implementing certain things in his pad work, in his movement, thank you, in certain things for this, because it looks like it's happening. So we started putting that work in. I'm not going to go away on camera and tell you what's happening, tactics-wise and what we're working on, but totally different to what Charlie were doing. Totally different, because styles make fights, and Sonny's not Charlie and Charlie's not Sonny.
I appreciate it wasn't a loss, but as I say, there was a legitimate knockdown in there. From you as a trainer, is there an element of, I don't want to say revenge, but is there an element of you wanting to get that back? You wanting to kind of, not necessarily right or wrong, but something like that?
No, because every fight I take for the fighters and my fighters take, it's a challenge. We put 110% in. So if you're going into fights like that, I think you can get emotionally involved. And I think that can take over. Whereas I don't, I just go in. This is how I think we should implement this fight. And that's what we should do. And that's what we should work on. I don't get emotionally involved like that. So, no.
Okay. Well, Grant, I know you love interviews and I know you'd love to sit here for hours and hours and talk to me, but I'm going to have to let you go because I need to go home. But in all seriousness, congratulations. Brilliant performance by your son and fighter, of course, Dalton Smith last night to capture the British title. Another belt for the Steel City Gym. I'm sure there'll be plenty more to come in the coming months and years. Thanks very much for speaking to ID Boxing, the first one we've done for ID Boxing. I'm sure it won't be the last. I'll have to bat away all of the interview requests that you give me.
Thank you for having me on ID Boxing, Rob.
Always
Probably
a pleasure.
see you next year.
See you next year. We do one a year. I'll tell you what, if we go to Mexico, we're doing one in Mexico. Deal?
No deal.
Oh, bloody hell. We'll work on it. We'll work on it. Grant Smith, thanks very much for speaking to ID Boxing. I'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you, Rob.